Hey guys, so today is part 2 of concept cars versus the real thing. Basically, I look at a concept car and then compare that concept to the real model that actually got released for consumers to purchase. The first episode was for the Dodge Charger, and that video is picking up steam recently and you guys seem to like it. To watch that one, make sure to click the link in the top right corner. Some comments asked for the Challenger, and it only made sense to do that one next. So let's look at the concept first. It was just called the Dodge Challenger concept, unveiled at the 2006 Detroit Motor Show. Basically, it was a preview of the real Challenger, which was to be released 2 years later. The Challenger had not been seen since 1983, but that was more of a rebadged Mitsubishi that was built in Japan. So it was really 32 years since America had seen a Challenger. The original Challenger was produced from 1970 to 1974 in both a two-door hardtop and convertible. Although it wasn't the most popular selling car, with just over 165,000 sold, this car did earn a reputation for being an original muscle car, and today many sell for hundreds of thousands if they are restored or in mint condition. The Challenger concept took styling cues from the 1970 Dodge Challenger RT because designers felt that this was the purest and least embellished model. They actually brought a 1970 Challenger into the studio when designing the concept. The designers had a lot of heritage to look back on, but they knew they had to get this design right. Many people had been unhappy with the 2006 Dodge Charger design because it ended up being a four-door sedan, and the Chrysler headquarters in Detroit actually got flooded with letters of complaint from the public once they saw that new Charger design. There were actually two other competing designs for the Challenger concept, but the designers determined that they were more sports car than muscle car. So obviously from the pictures you can see the resemblance to the original Challenger. The concept was mostly built on the LX platform, which was shared with the Magnum, Charger, and 300. The concept was built in carbon fiber by a company called Metal Crafters, and it weighed in at around 4,160 pounds. First off, we can see that there are two doors. The designers did make some adaptations to the body to make sure that they got the proportions right. The hood and deck lid are higher than the original. They wanted to keep the wide look of both the front and rear end of the original as well. So to do this, they widened the lateral distance between the wheels, also called the axle track, to 64 inches in the front and 65 inches in the rear. This made the Challenger wider than the other LX models and even 2 inches wider than the original model. This gives the concept a nice wide stance. The wheelbase of the Challenger was also 4 inches shorter than the other LX models, since this is a coupe, so it went down from 120 inches to 116, and they took this out of the rear seat legroom. Overall, the 1970 Challenger was 191 inches long with a 110-inch wheelbase, and the concept was 198 inches long with a 116-inch wheelbase. Many other features that define a Challenger distinctly stand out. There's the similar side view accent line called the thrust line that you can see running along the side of the Challenger and elevating near the rear end. The concept had a crosshair grille with two headlights on either side. At the back there's a full width neon lit tail light. Slim rectangular side markers are at the front and rear end, and the long hood and short deck lid also carry over from the original. The hood is very similar to the original with twin diagonal scoops. The one difference is that the scoops are now functional, acting as butterfly valve air intakes. The last thing to make it was the twin rectangle exhaust tips. Other features on the concept were carbon fiber black racing stripes, Challenger lettering on the rear quarter panel, Dodge lettering in the taillight, and the car was painted in orange pearl on the exterior. There are some details you might expect to see on a Challenger that didn't make it to the concept, like the racing gas cap, hood pins, and side stripes. Moving on inside, the interior was meant to have a very simplistic design, with more 1970s cues mixed in. There were black leather seats with an orange band in the center, and big side bolsters. The ribbed seats pay homage to the original. Satin silver accents also complement that look. The instrument panel has 3 gauges, accompanied by one larger gauge on the left side. The bigger gauge was the computer, which could show you different stats like the top overall speed and the quarter-mile time. The leather-wrapped steering wheel on the concept was a 3-spoke design, also meant to resemble the original. And finally, the center stack faces towards the driver and has a pistol grip shifter. Onto the powertrain. The engine is the 6.1-liter V8 Hemi that now feels familiar after all these years. This gives the Challenger 425 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. The only transmission planned originally was a 6-speed manual. The concept could hit 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, the quarter mile in 13 seconds flat, and hit a top speed of 174 miles per hour. The wheels on the concept were a 5-spoke chrome design, staggered with 20-inch rims up front and 21 inches in the rear. The designers kept trying to bring back the classic rally wheel, but they claimed it didn't fit right with the current design. Rotors were drilled and helped the concept stop from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 133 feet. Multi-link independent rear suspension and strut front suspension carried over from the other SRT LX models. Fast forward 2 years to 2008, and the real Dodge Challenger became released for purchase. Unlike the Charger, the Challenger was very similar to the concept that we just went over. In 2008, the only model to be released was the SRT8 version with a base MSRP of $37,999 before a $2,000 gas guzzler tax. Even though there were over 9,000 orders for a Challenger before the end of 2007, it did have a limited production run in the first year with 7,051 2008 models. 6,400 for the US, 550 for Canada, and roughly 101 for Mexico was the breakdown. The Canadian models were a special first edition Canada 500 model, which came with a dash plaque and certificate of authenticity. US models got a numbered dash plaque as well inside the cabin. Color breakdown is shown on screen, with Hemi Orange, Bright Silver Metallic, or Brilliant Black Crystal Pearl Coat as your 3 options. All these numbers may not be 100% exact, but it's a pretty close estimate from all the information I could find. The real Challenger only had a few things change from the concept, but the overall design stayed almost the same. The awful crosshair grille is gone, replaced with a more open design, with the SRT badge nestled in the right corner and the word Challenger in the left. Beside the hood scoops is 6.1 Hemi lettering, whereas this was on the graphic on the concept. The Challenger lettering on the rear quarter panel is also gone on the real version. The taillight design changed a bit, but remains similar. New on the 2008 Challenger was a black deck lid spoiler with the SRT8 badge on it and a unique fuel cap. Black carbon fiber stripes also carried over. The wheels on the production version were not staggered like the concept, and they had 20-inch wheels in all 4 corners with 245/45/20 tires. The wheel design was a bit different too, as the real thing had Alcoa 5-spoke forged aluminum rims. Performance was the same, as both the concept and the real thing used a 6.1 liter V8. The only difference was that for 2008, you could only get the 5-speed automatic option, and the manual that the concept had was added in 2009. The one major difference between the two is that the interior on the production version was more redefined, with a totally different center stack, steering wheel, and came without the ribbed seats. In 2009, buyers were able to see the full Challenger lineup with 3 models, the SE, RT, and SRT8 to start with, and they added the RT Classic as a special edition late in 2009. SXT was a Canadian trim only. I'll cover the 09 specs, since this was the first time that the whole lineup was released. So the SE was $21,995 and had the 3.5 liter V6 with either a 4 or 5-speed automatic transmission. This was rated at 250 horsepower and 250 pound-feet of torque. Standard features include cloth seating, power windows and locks, rear folding seats, a 4-speaker stereo, and 17-inch aluminum wheels. You could add lots of options to the SE, such as a moonroof, leather seats, heated and powered front seats, navigation, and 18-inch wheels. The SE did 0 to 60 in 7.4 seconds, and the quarter mile in 15.6 seconds. The RT was just under $30,000 and got the 5.7 liter V8 Hemi with either a 5-speed auto or a 6-speed manual. The Hemi with the automatic had 370 horsepower and 398 pound-feet of torque, and the manual with the Hemi got 375 horsepower and 404 pound-feet of torque. The RT added features on top of the SE, like a body-colored rear spoiler, metal fuel filler door, leather-wrapped steering wheel and shifter, dual rectangle exhaust tips, 18-inch wheels with wider tires, bigger brakes, a firmer suspension, and stability control. Other nice options that cost extra include leather seats, a Boston Acoustics sound system, bi-xenon headlights, 20-inch chrome wheels, functional hood scoops, navigation, performance pages, and steering wheel controls. The RT was capable of 0 to 60 in 5.1 seconds and the quarter mile in 13.6 seconds. As I've mentioned, the RT Classic was added in the middle of the 2009 year. It tacked on roughly $4,000 to the RT and added dual body racing stripes, script Challenger and RT badges, functional hood scoops, special heritage 20-inch torque thrust wheels, and many heritage colors were available. B5 Blue was a rare one in 2009, with just 1,419 of those made. Finally, the SRT8 rose to the top of the Challenger list with a price tag just under $40,000. As we've covered, this had the SRT 6.1 liter Hemi. The SRT8 had all the features of the RT, but it got tons of extras too. It got Brembo brakes with red calipers, a limited slip differential, flat black spoiler, extra brake ducts up front, 20-inch forged aluminum wheels, and heated sports seats. Other options included a 13-speaker kicker audio system and performance staggered tires. Overall, the new Challenger has been a success, and Dodge has seen sales rise fairly steadily since the 2008 release. The Challenger has become the major performance platform for Dodge, as we see amazing performance machines like the Hellcat Redeye and Demon being released. To go back and contrast the concept with the production version, there really isn't a whole lot to compare. The overall design carried over, unlike the Dodge Charger concept, and the Challenger was an extremely unique and appealing muscle car on the roads. I have to say that the concept looked really good, but I hated that crosshair grille. Over the 10 model years from 2008 to 2017, the Challenger has sold over 461,000 times. If you're still watching, you've made it to the end of the video. Which car do you prefer, the concept car or the real thing? Let me know down in the comments section below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed episode 2 of this series, and let me know which car I should do next. Thanks for watching, make sure to like and subscribe for everything Mopar, and I'll see you next video.